Good evening and welcome to our nightly telecast of Just the News. Let's get straight to it. If we record the numbers, India has now, as of this morning, recorded 4,14,000 new COVID cases, and the country's total caseload right now is 2 crore and 14 lakh. 3,915 people have died across the country in the last 24 hours. According to the Health Ministry, there are some states that were seeing a sharp increase in COVID cases that are now seeing a plateauing of COVID cases. These states are Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana and Jharkhand. Although there are some states that are seeing a daily rise in those cases, that's Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Odisha. The state of Karnataka has announced a complete lockdown, according to the Chief Minister of Karnataka, who made the announcement, from the 10th of May until the 24th of May. The Chief Minister has also said that this will be a strict lockdown, which means no one will be allowed to move outside of their homes after 10 in the morning during this lockdown. He has also appealed that migrant workers stay where they are because this is a temporary lockdown as of now. As per the restrictions that have been announced by the government, only scheduled flights and trains will be allowed, and you'll be able to use your ticket as your proof in order to move around to catch your flight. But metro services, taxis, auto rickshaws will be closed, only allowed in case of emergency. Educational institutions, cinema halls, public pools, all gatherings have been banned. Grocery shops, vegetable shops, meat shops will be allowed between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., after which you will not be allowed to leave your home. Home delivery of essential items will be allowed 24/7. Restaurants will be able to do home delivery and takeaway, but if you are going to get a takeaway, you will have to walk. You will not be able to use your car. Government offices, telecommunications, financial institutions, agricultural activities, and of course all forms of healthcare and medical activities will be allowed. Marriages or weddings will be allowed at 50 people, and 5 people will be allowed at funerals. This comes after Karnataka reported 48,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. Bengaluru alone accounted for 21,000 cases, and the state has a positivity rate of over 30%. The Chief Minister of Goa, Pramod Sawant, has announced a 15-day curfew starting Sunday. Because of rising cases, Goa is reporting a positivity rate of 41%, which is alarmingly high. The curfew will remain in force from the 9th of May until the 23rd of May. Grocery shops will be open from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and restaurant takeaways will be allowed until 7 p.m. in the evening. Goa has reported 3,000 new cases and 58 deaths, which is alarming given the size of the state. Chandigarh has announced a weekend lockdown, which will begin at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning and continue until 5 a.m. on Monday. Essential items will be available till 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The Supreme Court on Friday has said that 700 metric tons of oxygen will have to be delivered to Delhi by the central government every day. This comes after the Delhi government's lawyer or counsel in the Supreme Court said Delhi had received only 86 metric tons of oxygen until 9 a.m. this morning, and 16 metric tons were in transit. This is what the Supreme Court Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said, and I quote, "We want 700 MT of oxygen to be supplied to Delhi on a daily basis, and we mean business. It has to be supplied, and we don't want to be coercive. Our order will take time to be uploaded by 3 p.m., but you proceed and arrange the oxygen," end quote. Speaking to the central government. The Supreme Court on the 5th of May had stayed a show cause notice for contempt of court by the Delhi High Court against the centre, saying hauling up of government officials for contempt will not solve the oxygen crisis in Delhi. But today the justices said you have to supply 700 MT of oxygen every day until we order further. Delhi recorded 341 COVID-related deaths and 19,832 new infections as of today. The central government moved to Supreme Court to challenge the Karnataka High Court order directing it to release 1,200 MT of oxygen to the state every day. The Supreme Court, though, said, "We will not interfere with this today. It is a well-considered exercise of power by the High Court. If it was a breach of executive power, then we would have considered." The central government, though, S.G. Tushar Mehta, argued that this leaves room for every High Court to start examining and allocating oxygen. And the court to which responded saying, we are looking at the wider issue. We will not keep the citizens of Karnataka in a lurch in the meantime. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud further commented that the High Court order does not preclude a resolution reached by centre and state. We think the exercise of power under Article 226 was well thought out and a calibrated one, and thus we decline to interfere. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has written to the Prime Minister and requested that the centre allocate 550 metric tons of oxygen to the state every day. Any allocation less than that amount will not only adversely affect the supply, but also may result in the loss of lives of patients in the state, she said. A city hospital in Lucknow has been slapped with an FIR by Lucknow administration for allegedly spreading rumours over the shortage of oxygen. Sun Hospital on the 3rd of May had put up a notice outside the hospital asking relatives to take the patients away to other places because it was facing a shortage of oxygen. The hospital, according to reports, now plans to move to Allahabad High Court against this FIR. The FIR was filed at 11:30 p.m. on Wednesday after the Allahabad High Court said the COVID deaths due to oxygen shortage is no less than genocide in the state. Sun Hospital's manager Akhilesh Pandey, speaking to the Indian Express, refuted the allegations of spreading rumours, saying that I want the administration to come and talk to caregivers about what happened on the 3rd of May. I'm filing a writ petition in the Allahabad High Court challenging this action. End quote. Addressing a press conference on Friday, the Maharashtra Health Minister Rajesh Tope has said the Serum Institute of India Chief Adar Poonawala has told the Maharashtra government the institute will not be able to supply Covishield doses to the state until the 26th of May. Tope said Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray had a telephonic conversation with Poonawala, who is currently in London, on the issue and was informed that they cannot give any doses until May 26th. This comes after Maharashtra Health Minister had urged the vaccine maker to prioritize the state of Maharashtra. On the shortage of Covaxin doses from Bharat Biotech, Tope had said that we had urged the centre time and time again to release doses of Covaxin, as a sizable chunk of 4 to 5 lakh beneficiaries are waiting for their second dose across the state. The state has written several letters to the centre for Covaxin doses. However, if the supply doesn't come on time, we have no other option but to divert the doses that were purchased by the state government for the 18 to 44 age group to the beneficiaries who need their second dose of Covaxin. Remember, for someone who has taken one dose of Covaxin, the second dose also needs to necessarily be of the same vaccine. Maharashtra so far has administered 1.73 lakh beneficiaries with the vaccine until the 6th of May. The Delhi government has directed heads of all hospitals admitting COVID patients to update its bed availability on the Delhi Corona app every 2 hours. The order was issued by the Special Secretary for Health and Family Welfare in the state, who said it has been reported that many hospitals are not updating their status of different categories of beds regularly and on the designated portal, and this is creating hardship for the public who, in the absence of reliable information, are forced to spend time and energy searching for vacant beds. End quote. The Election Commission's panel counsel, which is the lawyer who represents the Election Commission in Supreme Court, Mohit D. Ram, has resigned from his position, stating that his values are not in consonance with the current functioning of the Election Commission. In his resignation letter, Mr. Ram has said, and I quote, "It was an honor to represent the Election Commission of India. I had a cherishing milestone of my career in the journey which began as part of the office of Standing Counsel for the Election Commission and progressed to one of the panel counsels for the Election Commission. However, I found that my values are not in consonance with the current functioning of the Election Commission of India, and I hence withdraw myself from the responsibilities of its panel counsel before the Supreme Court of India." This comes a day after the Supreme Court dismissed the plea made by the Election Commission to restrain the media from reporting on remarks made by judges. Remember, the Madras High Court had said that the Election Commission should be held responsible for the deaths that have taken place in the state because it did not stop the political rallies. In Delhi, Several heritage trees, some over 100 years old, including 20 jamun trees, are likely to be uprooted for the Central Vista redevelopment project, according to a report by the Hindustan Times. Officials have said that the trees stretching from Rashtrapati Bhavan to India Gate will have to be uprooted and planted elsewhere. While citizens have already begun sharing pictures of the dug-up stretch on Rajpath, the Central Works Public Department spokesperson that's in charge of the entire Central Vista project has said, "We've started work after requisite approvals. No tree had to be cut. Affected trees are being transported elsewhere." Meanwhile, two petitioners had earlier approached the Delhi High Court challenging the construction activities of this project during the lockdown, suggesting that it cannot be categorized as an essential service and it will actually be a super spreader. The court had adjourned the matter to the 17th of May without issuing notice to the government. The Supreme Court today has permitted the petitioners to request the High Court for an early hearing in this case. The bench of the Supreme Court, comprising Justices Vineet Saran and Dinesh Maheshwari, have said, "We hope and trust that the High Court shall consider the request of an early hearing and pass an order." In January this year, though, the Supreme Court, by a 2-1 majority, had rejected the challenge made against the clearances given to the 20,000 crore rupees Central Vista project, which also involves a new parliamentary building and a revamp of the entire National Capital's central administrative area. There are several questions being raised right now on social media about why the government is insisting on going forward with this project at a time when Delhi and the rest of the country are experiencing perhaps the worst healthcare crisis we have seen in the history of independent India. Moving on now to news from the world of business. The price of petrol has risen for the 4th consecutive day. It has crossed the 100 rupee mark in some parts of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. In Rajasthan, Sri Ganganagar district, petrol will now cost you 102 rupees and 15 paise. In Madhya Pradesh's Anupur, it is now 101 rupees and 86 paise. And in Maharashtra's Parbhani, 99 rupees and 95 paise for petrol. This is the second time this year where prices have crossed the 100 rupee mark in some parts of the country. In Mumbai and Delhi, prices were increased 27 paise for petrol. In Delhi, you will now pay 91 rupees and 27 paise, and in Mumbai, it's 97 rupees and 61 paise. Remember, the price of fuel crude, which is the main ingredient that needs to be imported, is moving up in the rest of the world. Plus, we have very heavy central and state taxes, which amount to more than half of what we pay for the price of fuel. News coming in now from the world, from around the world. After the United States actually backed a proposal to waive the patents on COVID vaccines, Germany has opposed it. Now, this would derail the proposal because it requires members of the World Trade Organization to all agree to pass this proposal. Germany has said the greatest constraints to production is not the patent, it's in fact capacity and quality. And it has also said that protecting intellectual property is the source of innovation and it must remain so. Russia, the European Union and New Zealand have backed the proposal. So basically what this means is that right now, as far as a patent is concerned, only those companies that have the IP or the patent for the vaccine can manufacture the vaccine. If these patents are in fact waived, it would mean that anyone who has the recipe or anyone who pays a license to get that recipe will then be able to manufacture the vaccine, and it will be manufactured across the world. Incidentally, India and South Africa last year were the ones who suggested and proposed this waiving of patents to allow developing countries to manufacture the vaccine and have access to the vaccine as well. Other news coming in from the world of science. Elon Musk's SpaceX has achieved its first successful touchdown of its prototype Starship rocket. The previous landing attempts had resulted in explosions. This also marked the 60th anniversary of the first space flight by an American astronaut, Alan Shepard. And in sports, looking specifically at the IPL, in an interview to The Telegraph, BCCI President Sourav Ganguly has said that if we fail to complete the IPL, the loss to the BCCI will be close to 2,500 crore rupees. That is going by early estimates. This comes after the IPL 2021 was postponed following several players and staff members testing positive for COVID. In an earlier interview to the Indian Express, Sourav Ganguly had also said that he was not sure how the COVID virus entered the bio-bubble of the IPL. He revealed that the report said that there was no breach of the bubble, yet they were players who had tested positive. One piece of positive news before we wrap up for the weekend. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has announced that the state government will bear the cost of COVID treatment for patients even in private hospitals if they come under the Chief Minister's Comprehensive Health Insurance Scheme. At present, they are only being covered in government hospitals. So this particular health insurance scheme covers families whose annual income is less than 72,000 and who are members of unorganized labour welfare boards, their spouses, their children and their dependent parents. He also announced a direct cash relief of 4,000 rupees for every ration card holder in the state. Well, that brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, the details are on our YouTube page. Share this video. Leave us a comment if you think if there's any way we can improve this service for you. Stay home and stay safe.